Hi everybody, welcome to this live broadcast brought to you by Teatro de Generator. I'm so excited that you're watching and that you're here with me tonight. My name is Sandra Kramerova and I'm one of the makers of the theater. I'm a dance maker and a choreographer. And tonight I will be sharing with you some thoughts, ideas about my work. So about the work that I've choreographed in the past, and also I will be just letting you in on a few projects that I am planning for the future, and just telling you about things that I am currently working on. You won't be hearing me just talking, but there will be also some images and videos accompanying this presentation, so I hope you will enjoy it. And thank you again for watching. So, as I said, my name is Sandra, and I'm currently based in Amsterdam, where I work as a choreographer and dance maker. But I am originally from Slovakia, from Bratislava, the capital city, which is where I studied choreography at the University of Performing Arts. And after I finished, I kind of really wanted to dive a bit more into what it actually means for me to be a dancer and dance maker, and how I can kind of gather more tools to express better what ideas I have about dance and what it is specifically that I want to say with dance, what kind of stories, what kind of ideas and thoughts. So I went to Israel for a year, and I trained there with a kibbutz contemporary dance company. And there I really found this raw, visceral expression that I enjoyed a lot, and discovered kind of new ways of moving, new ways of thinking about dance. From Israel, I went to New York, where I spent another 7 years, again filled with a lot of learning, a lot of making, a lot of dancing with different artists and people. And there I discovered and dived even further into, again, what it is that I want to say with my dances and with my making. So before I left New York and came to Amsterdam, actually the last year of my stay there, I created this evening-length show called Game On. And this show was inspired by sports imagery, as you can see, kind of by the passion that comes up in sports, and that is very present in sport disciplines such as discus throwing, for example, or figure skating or ice skating. And that was really interesting for me to explore, and as a way to explore the movement of these sports disciplines and to bring them into the dances on stage. And that's, I think, also because kind of analyzing my way of making, of who I was as a dance maker and artist, that I learned more about in my master's in dance at Sarah Lawrence College. I kind of found out that I'm really pulled or interested in things that happen in everyday life that actually could be seen as dance. So not so much going from the external shape and form of things, but really just looking for movement and dance in things that already existed, and then kind of looking at the performative element of that. So then from continuing the journey from this sports imagery and the journey from New York to Amsterdam, my latest piece, called About Dance, Fireflies, and the End of the World as We Know It, was a dance lecture, so combining dance and talking, like a TED Talk kind of lecture. I feel like was really interestingly relevant for this time, because especially the title saying that we are approaching a certain end of the world, and here we are finding ourselves in times of pandemic where we have to really reconsider the way we have been living perhaps, and kind of finding a new beginning. And I'm almost scared to come up with new titles now, as I feel like maybe whatever will end up in the title will then happen. So I will probably have to think twice about it going forward. But so this dance lecture was really exploring the question of dance. What does dance mean? What does art mean? And what does it mean in a world that's really fueled and powered by constant progress and this fast tempo, and that is, you know, run by this idea of constant economic growth. So things like dance and activities like dance, where do they belong? And so in this dance we were trying to prove the point of dance being necessary by showing it, by showing how dance is actually poetic and magical and therefore very much needed. So in this small excerpt you will see me with my colleagues Jordi Ribot-Tunisen and Anastasia Kostner dancing part of this dance lecture.
It draws clear lines.
Us, them. These lines are placed elsewhere
At every turn, but the tendency to oversimplify remains.
And maybe the only way to avoid yet another cyclical crisis is...
The problem with any form of design is that it necessarily oversimplifies in order to be achievable. It draws clear lines. As them, these lines are placed elsewhere at every turn, but the tendency to oversimplify remains, and maybe the only way to avoid yet another cyclical crisis is to gain awareness that life, the world, the us-them borders are and always will be complex, layered, with holes and windows, allowing thoughts, people, and ideas to sift through.
So this little excerpt from the dance lecture Fireflies, we call the rehearsal name for it is Symposium, because it's kind of this argument or discussion about meaning of dance. And this piece, I think, was really an attempt of mine and Jordi and Anastasia's to kind of bring into the dance work also this philosophical and more of a intellectual as well as slightly political message. And that's actually where I feel that my work, I feel connected to the vision of Teatro de Generator, because they are a very politically and socially engaged theater, and together with them, actually, they were co-producers of this show. And last year, in September 2019, they organized a whole festival around this lecture. The festival was called Uselessness of Art Festival. So there were 2 days of different performances and also debates around this idea of art being useful or useless, and we performed this dance lecture kind of as a central event of this festival, and it was a really great and interesting experience. The preview for this festival was performed at Museum de Lakenhal, which is a really beautiful museum in Leiden. So it was a very special experience for us. But this was not the first production that Generator knew from me. We actually met in my previous work, or through my previous work, that was a solo called Ladia. So Ladia was a choreography that I did still back in New York during my master's in dance at Sarah Lawrence College. And in it, I was really looking at the female power, specifically of two main characters. One of them was Lara Croft, and the other one, Nadia Comaneci. So Lara Croft, of course, is a virtual character, and Nadia Comaneci is a real-time Romanian Olympic gymnast. But what I was really appealed by or pulled into from these two women was the idea that they are very powerful, that they embody this constant fight and struggle for accomplishment, for being better, and kind of fight against, well, in case of Lara Croft, whatever is the struggle in the moment, and in case of Nadia Comaneci, just fighting for success, recognition, and just this full mastery of almost inhuman skill. So this piece, in a way, I feel like was very important for me because I was really exploring this embodiment of female strength and power. And I want to show you a little bit of what it looked like through a short video here. I choreographed Ladia in a moment when I was feeling quite vulnerable and frustrated because I was having some issues with my visa. I was still in New York, and also my partner couldn't get back at that moment, and it felt in a way like this existential struggle to just be able to be human, to be able to be somewhere. And that's why I was just interested in this idea of fighting against this external imposition or power or authority, and specifically expressed in a female body, that I feel like there are a lot of things that women have to hide on maybe daily basis, or depends on their experience, but many times we don't really see how these super heroines and female athletes are actually working very hard behind the facade of perfection and mastership of skill. So after this dance was made for stage, together with my partner Alvaro Congosto, we decided to turn the choreography into a dance film. And that was a whole other journey. So in a way, I initially thought like, okay, it will be very similar to what the choreography was on stage. But the experience of putting it onto the screen, I think kept the essence of the work, of course, because we wanted to tell the same story and use the same physicality for it, but I think it just gained a different, many different layers and another coloring to it. And I also learned so much in the process of making it, because in the stage choreography, I kind of had it build up so that the moments of exhaustion really came kind of naturally, because I was trying to, as I was working with this movement that was not so much focused on form, but more of accomplishing a certain task. So, for example, in one moment I'm trying to jump higher and higher and higher until I cannot jump higher anymore. And in the real-time choreography, this took quite a while. I had like 2 minutes to build up the momentum, but in the film it was maybe 20 seconds that I had to really build up that strength and power and impact. And also the way we were shooting, it always took quite some time to set up the scenes, to set up the lights, the cameras, and then the actual filming took just a few seconds. So it was a really big challenge for me as a performer to get in and out of character and to stay in it the whole day, actually the whole weekend. But yeah, I learned a lot and it was amazing and very powerful. So to show you a little bit also going forward, how this physicality that I was exploring is still very much present in my other work. Let's actually go back to the trailer of the dance film for a moment. So I wanted to show you the trailer from the movie Ladia, which actually we were supposed to screen at Cinedance this March, but it was postponed. So I hope that you'll be able to see it maybe next year. But the reason why I wanted to show the movie, also that you maybe see some differences with the stage version, but more than differences, also maybe similarities in the way that that I have worked with the movement, and in a way that I really wanted to expose the feminine body kind of trapped in this existential struggle. And I also think that this was one of the links why Joanna Tudor, the artistic director of Generator, really connected with my work, or I connected with her work, because I feel like it really expresses this innate female and feminine power and kind of this fight for freedom and acknowledgement. And I think that this striving of mine that I have in this female embodiment of strength and power also goes into the projects that I want to further develop. And currently I am rehearsing and working on another solo that will be that I will perform at Amsterdam Fringe Festival this coming September. And this solo is inspired by massive unison parades called Spartakiada. So I wanted to name this piece Body as a Weapon, because as you can see, these unison huge parades that were practiced in the communist Czechoslovakia, in a way, really, for me, what's interesting about them is, well, on one hand, we have this very rhythmic kind of, on one hand, simple, but also quite complex, looking at the pictures and almost like a mosaic of bodies that is created when we look at the picture from afar. So that's something that interests me on one hand, but on the other one, body as a weapon, because this physical expression became almost like a symbol of political propaganda, because in a way this idea of being fit and just being able to do these things, from my understanding, showed again this feeling of empowerment, and when compared with the wealth that especially the Western world had in comparison with the Eastern Bloc, I think there's definitely a parallel in how the body serves as a way to manifest that actually we have more power to fight the Western counterpole. So looking back at my cultural heritage and at things like these, like Spartakiada, and how the body there in those times already manifests a lot of kind of counter or juxtaposing messages. On one hand, really this joyful interpretation of dancing, of being united with other people in the same activity, and on the other hand, of course, this subtext or this political propaganda that appears there at the same time. So I'm just very excited to keep diving into this topic and to show you what comes out of it in September, if you would like to come to the Fringe performance. Looking at this cultural heritage of mine even further, and also during the times of communism, I am planning, together with Teatr Degenerator, to develop another work called Myka. And Micah is a very famous TV show for children that I think everyone in Slovakia knows. It was about this little girl who fell from the sky and landed in a small town in the Tatra Mountains, in the mountains we have in the north of Slovakia. And in the TV show, this character is kind of learning about the planet Earth, learning about humans, and she is very interesting to me because lately I have been kind of asking myself this question about what does it mean to be a woman in the world nowadays. And I was thinking about my past, my upbringing, my culture, and in a way I feel like Myka symbolizes also this pure, innocent, naive maybe look at the world. She's not quite a woman, and she's in a way learning how to be one. And I was just thinking that it would be interesting to envision this character in the process of learning of how it is to be a woman, maybe how it would be back then in the times of socialism, and how it would be now if she had to learn how to be a woman from current time and age advertisement, and how that is in a way another form of propaganda as well. So this is a project that I will be developing together with Theater de Generator, with dramaturg Freg Deinhoff as well, and we are now working on setting up a trajectory of 2 years where I will be learning how to dive deeper into this interest in my cultural background and kind of finding ways to really put it on stage and express it through dancing. And I will leave you for tonight with another clip with another little excerpt from a dance called Mantisa that also puts together kind of two different topics. One of them is inspiration in Baroque paintings, and the other one is in this discus throwing sports imagery and competitions. So let's watch the video and then we'll just come back for a brief moment afterwards. So, thank you so much for joining me for this live broadcast here tonight. I hope you enjoyed the videos and images and that you had a little taste of my work. And I would really love to connect it with you more and further. So please, if you have any questions or would like to give me feedback, you can reach out to me through my website. Also stay up to date regarding my performances, and I hope to see you live or in the audience at some point in the near future. Thank you so much for joining, and take care. Stay safe.